of the legends, those who paved our way. In every single chapter, we're here to stay, breaking down plays.
Good evening, everybody, and how's everybody doing tonight? Hey, I am Lonnie Washington, and this is Tony Robinson, and together we are the Chasing the Highlights podcast. Tony, how you doing on this Super Bowl week?
Pretty good, pretty good. I can't wait for Sunday.
Yeah, again, we're all fans of our teams. I'm a Commanders fan, got the jersey on, and I know you love the Cleveland Browns and everything Ohio State. But, Super Bowl week is big. Now that our teams are all out of it, we got two teams left: the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. We're excited just for the festivities. And some of us are excited for the halftime show too. Wink, wink. Right? Bad Bunny is doing a halftime show too, and that's kind of been a controversy, which is kind of crazy in itself, right? So Tony, before we start talking about Super Bowl, we've had some big dealings going on in the NBA. It is NBA season now. Now that the NBA is over, Tony is our resident Cleveland Cavaliers fan, right? So recently, James Harden was traded yesterday to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Darius Garland, for a second-round pick to the Clippers. So the Clippers, the Cleveland Cavaliers get James Harden, and the Clippers get Darius Garland and a second-round draft pick. And I know Tony and our are kind of like our pre-show. Earlier on, when we were talking, getting prepared for the podcast, we were talking a little bit about. I wanted to ask you, how does this, in your opinion, I know that you have been talking about getting rid of Darius Garland for a long time, that he was a liability on defense, and he's never, he's hurt all the time. He's kind of a small guard. But now you guys get a guy in James Harden, he's ball dominant, right? He's ball dominant guy, and you kind of wonder how he's going to pan out there with the mix and everything there in Cleveland. Do you think this puts the Cleveland Cavaliers in one of the top teams in the East and probably, perfectly aligned to potentially go to the finals this year with this trade?
Definitely. I feel like they have a great chance of making the finals with this roster right now, because we're pretty deep. Although I like Darius Garland, I've been telling you for the last 5 years or so, just having Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell at the 1 and 2 is not conducive to winning in the playoffs to me. And it's the same thing that happened with Steph Curry and Monte Ellis back in the day, when Monte Ellis went to the front office and said, we can't win with two small guards, right? So I kept thinking that because I was living in California when that went on. So and it happened with my Cleveland Cavaliers, and I'm sitting here like looking at this for the last 5 years, like sitting here like, why do we have these small guards? And you see it in the playoffs when they played last year against Indiana. Indiana was being very aggressive with them, and they couldn't do anything. And Mitchell didn't have anybody else to go to in the key situations. And I feel like now we have somebody that can be that dog to go alongside of Mitchell. And I feel like Harden can make Mobley and Allen better, because they both rim runners. They do what people don't realize is that Harden is a great passer too. If you watch him play, he does pass the ball very well. Even though you may say he's a ball dominant guard, he can play the role of facilitator too. And having the pick and roll or whatever, you can have Mitchell spotted up sometimes, just spotted up in the corner. He'd be by himself because they're gonna send bodies to Harden, because he warrants that kind of defense. You can't just they're not gonna just let him go down the lane by himself. So they're gonna sag somebody over, and Mitchell be open. He can rim run through the lob and everything like that. And I feel like Harden is a great pickup in this trade. I love Garland and what he did for us, but just being ready for the playoffs, I feel we're better suited with James Harden.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw this trade, and I think my concerns were, that the Cleveland Cavaliers, they get rid of Garland. And, talking about the Clippers is a whole nother story. Of course, Garland's getting $40 million a year. And the Clippers were, has won like 16 out of the last 20 games. And they've been hot, since December. And then all of a sudden you got this dump of James Harden, who's averaging 25, 8, and 5 this year, which is crazy, right? He's 35 years old. He's ball dominant. My thing is that, I was thinking about chemistry. who team is this? Like Donovan Mitchell, we know this is Donovan Mitchell's team, but he doesn't have the cachet that a James Harden brings to a team. And now you've got both of them on the floor. I mean, how does the Cleveland Cavaliers kind of like get them both on the floor and they can both coexist without the ball in their hands and make plays? I mean, you started talking about earlier today that, hey, this is not really a true point guard position. This, in the NBA. So I'm a little concerned about that. And James Harden, he really couldn't coexist with Kyrie Irving. And so that's been kind of like my little thing here with this. Team chemistry is a big thing in the NBA. How do you think this works out for them?
Well, watching the Cavaliers team, we actually share the ball very well. If you actually watched our games, they actually share the ball very well. And Mitchell is not that kind of player. He's a team player, but when he has to play a certain way, when he has to get points, and we need him to win, he will do the ball dominant stuff. But he shares the ball more than people think. And I feel like Harden's going to follow suit with that. And when you're playing with good players, our whole squad, our whole starting five can be. It's like one of the best starting fives in the East right now, with what we have, So I feel like they're gonna piggyback off each other. They're gonna take turns doing the screen and roll, and the other one spots up. They're gonna work it out. It's not gonna be as hard as people think it is. I feel like the team is deep. I feel like with the two bigs, and we talked about it earlier that he's little suspect on the defensive side, but we play good team defense. So I think that he'll be able to, I think he'll follow suit. He'll get into the rhythm of how we play team defense and stuff like that. And, if he doesn't, I mean, they'll put him on the weakest defense, the weakest offensive player and stuff like that to hide him and stuff like that. But I think he'll play better with the new team that's the way, that's deep like this. He won't he'll make sure that he plays a little extra on the defensive side.
Yeah, I think he's scheduled to start Saturday, his first game against the Sacramento Kings, and so we'll get to see that and how that pans out. And so I just wanted to get that out of the way because I know that was a big trade. We won't even go into the Wizards trade today. That's kind of crazy altogether. Let's talk NFL now. I think people here wanting to talk about the NFL. We'll start with Bill Belichick. Not so Hall of Fame Bill Belichick. 6 Super Bowl wins and 9 appearances, and he's probably the best coach in. I'm gonna go ahead and say that Bill Belichick is the best coach in the history of the NFL, the National Football League, and he can't get in as the first ballot Hall of Famer. What are we doing here with the Hall of Fame? What are you guys doing? I think that everybody who voted for the Hall of Fame turned the Hall of Fame now into the not so cool Hall of Fame. When a guy like Bill Belichick can't get in the Hall of Fame, and you're talking about the Deflategate and all this other crap, you still had to go out there and win these games, right? Bill Belichick, I mean, he is the guy, right? I mean, you can't put Bill Belichick in the Hall of Fame. I think it loses the Hall of Fame loses a lot of its punch, a lot of its credibility now because of this, and I just don't understand it. And it's crazy, Bill Polian and all these guys are talking about making all these excuses, jealousy, all this and all that. But you got to vote Bill Belichick in the Hall of Fame first ballot.
Yeah, Bill Belichick, he's the only coach that has 8 Super Bowl rings. He has 6 with the New England Patriots. He has 2 with the Giants as a defensive coordinator and whatever he was. He has 8. So no matter how he got the other 2, he still got more than every other coach in the Hall of Fame right now that's in the Hall of Fame. He has more rings. He's the GOAT of coaches. So you don't put him in the first ballot. That's crazy. That's just like saying Brady's not going to make because of all the Deflategate and all that stuff. Now, if Brady doesn't get in, there's something wrong. There's something wrong.
It's outrageous. It'd be outrageous if Brady doesn't get in the first ballot, because not only did he win the same amount of Super Bowls, 6 with the New England Patriots, he was there, with Bill Belichick, but he also left, right? People forget he also left, right? At the 45 years old, he goes in Tampa Bay and wins another Super Bowl on his own with a whole different coach, whole different team, whole different everything, and so if he doesn't get in, then I think that now you're really talking about people not really taking the Hall of Fame seriously. And to be honest with you, that is the treasure of the NFL is the Hall of Fame, the best of the best that ever played the game, and they're going to take a hit with this, right? And while we're talking about, Alonzo put the Robert Kraft thing on there. Is Robert Kraft the best owner in the NFL? Over 31 seasons from 1994 to 2024. I was in New England and I was covering the New England Patriots, when they were bad. When we're talking about when Bill Parcells was with the team, they had Drew Brees. I was covering New England Patriots back in the 90s, up in Foxborough. And then all of a sudden, Kraft takes over the team, and then you've got Brady and Belichick. And then all of a sudden they just, think about this. I mean, he's the architect, Robert Kraft, the owner, 357 games, including wins, including the playoffs, an average of 11.5 wins per season. So about every 3 seasons, he went to a Super Bowl. His teams went to a Super Bowl about every 3 seasons since he's been the owner of the New England Patriots. And I think that's an amazing stat, and how he doesn't get in. The reports are out there that he's not in. And so I think this is outrageous that he didn't even get in either.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, people are saying like, "Oh, he's an owner. Well, how does he get in?" Like, he's an owner, but he's an owner, but he spent the money to get people there, and like he's an integral part of the team. It's his team, so he has the rings too. So it's like, I don't understand how he cannot get in. It doesn't make sense to me either. But Jerry Jones gets in. And he hasn't done anything in 30 years because he's like the head of like the owners association, like we talked about earlier. I feel like that's a big key, the reason why he got in, and not, prep. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how does Jerry Jones get in, and we're sitting here and he hasn't won a Super Bowl in over 30 years, and then you have Robert Kraft that doesn't. I mean, it don't get in. That is totally outrageous, and I don't understand.
To put a bow on that too is like, how do you get in when you got rid of your best coach because of your ego? How does that work? Like,
it doesn't.
Robert Kraft didn't get in his way and say, "Oh no, Belichick, we're gonna do it my way."
Yeah. So it's outrageous, crazy. So yeah, we'll leave that there, but just wanted to bring that up because I think that's been some of the storylines that were kind of going on here over the last week and a half or so, since the playoff games, the Super Bowl, the NFC and the AFC Championship game has come. And we got to talk about some coaches here too. I mean, so Tony, this is a head scratcher here. We got the Browns that hired Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, as head coach, and they snubbed Schwartz, who has been the architect of that good Cleveland Brown defense for the last 4 or 5 years. You guys have been top. I think you guys finished the top 5, this year, and excellent defense. And they interviewed Schwartz, I know, for the position. I think that everybody was waiting for them to pull the trigger on Schwartz. And maybe I'm an outsider, so I was thinking that, hey, they're going to pull the trigger on Schwartz at some point. The players love them, the defensive people love them, and then they go out and they grab, Todd Monken from, the Baltimore Ravens, and now he goes in there and he's got 3 quarterbacks essentially. He's got Dylan Gabriel, he's got Shedeur Sanders, and he's got Deshaun Watson that he has to manage. And I think earlier when we were talking, I was telling you that out of those 3 quarterbacks, he's got some. I think it's going to come down between Shedeur Sanders and Watson. But how does this happen? Really, Todd Monken getting the job over Schwartz, and how do the defense kind of, with Schwartz now wanting out, he wants out. And then Monken going in and saying some smug words, in his press conference yesterday about Schwartz. And I think that he didn't really have to say that. He should have left it alone. But now you have a guy, Schwartz, that's going to probably leave the team, and they'll be looking for a defensive coordinator coming down the pike. And I don't think that is a good thing.
Well, I don't think they. There's a lot of stuff that's out there, a lot of news, or like, we don't know what's real, because from what I'm hearing, like for me, I'm gonna just talk from my opinion, my humble opinion. I feel like we we made the right choice of going for an offensive coordinator because that's where we struggled at. And knowing Monken's history since 2008 with Georgia and Baltimore Ravens, and like coming here, his track record has been to make players better. He makes the quarterback better, and that's the key. We've had so many bad quarterbacks, maybe because it was the coaching. They didn't get developed or whatever, because the way the Browns, the history of the Browns when they draft, right? They usually go for Heisman Trophy winners, right? Or not, or people that are like up in the Heisman Trophy, like
because they're so bad, but they've been so bad, they always are picking top 5, top 6.
But they always go for those Heisman Trophy winners because they're to me, their thought process is to get somebody of high caliber from coming in from college level, but they don't know I feel like they don't know their full like work ethic, because when they get to the pros, it's a totally different game, and like they don't lock in as much and stuff like that. Just because they're Heisman Trophy candidates in college doesn't mean it transfers over to the NFL. And I feel like that's the big part of like why we've been struggling to get the right coach or get the right quarterback over these years, because we didn't have the right coach in place to actually foster that. Like, okay, you were a great college quarterback, now let's transfer that over to the NFL. The way we drafted them was to put them in and throw them into the wolves and expect them to play like they played in college, and that's not conducive to getting a quarterback ready. You see Love and set behind Rodgers set behind Brett Favre, and look at how they play that system of letting them sit and play. Like Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith too. One year he came out the next year and took over, and he exploded. So Montana played behind somebody. You know, there's a track record of letting somebody sit, even though we don't want them to. But with the Browns, we need to let somebody sit behind and like learn from a veteran quarterback, or allow. Well, the coach has to be able to be in. Like Monken is a player, a coach that's going to get the quarterback ready. And like,
I mean, Lamar Jackson's coach. You know, he's Lamar Jackson's coach.
So look at Lamar Jackson, what he's done, and like their offense, how they've been playing over the last, the years and stuff like that. But they didn't make the Super Bowl because of one tight end that dropped the ball, right? The last couple years, right? And it's not just all in tight end. Don't get me wrong. They made mistakes during the season, because even Lamar Jackson said he went to the tight end after he dropped the ball and said, it's not on you. We dropped a lot of, we messed up. I threw interceptions and stuff like that. But to get back on the point of Todd Monken, like he's gonna make whatever quarterback that starts next year, he's gonna make them better.
Okay.
And I feel like with Schwartz is the reason. I feel like there's no other teams out there to give him a head coaching spot. So I feel like he already has an established defense. For him to go somewhere else to start over with another defense doesn't make sense to me. That's my opinion, because he has a future first ballot Hall of Famer sitting on this team at defensive end in Myles Garrett. So why would you go with somewhere else that you don't know what you're going to get? You're not going to get that same. And you said earlier, like, a change of scenery, I get it. But at the same time, when you already in that, when your players want you around, they want you, even though they wanted you to be a head coach. I think that we needed somebody of offensive caliber, because that's going to bring it together to potentially go deep in the playoffs. Like, you can't have both. If
All right. So you said playoffs, and so that brings me to, all right. So you've got Deshaun Watson coming off of
playoffs.
Deshaun Watson coming off of not playing in like almost the last 2 years, and he's coming off an Achilles that he tore twice. And then you've got the young Shedeur Sanders, right, which everybody is kind of warming up to now because they've seen him play. They think that he needs a little bit more coaching. They think he needs a full offseason. They think he needs this. They think he needs that. And I'm gonna go on record, and I said that I do not believe that the Cleveland Browns make the playoffs next year with Shedeur Sanders at quarterback. However, I think if Deshaun Watson's at quarterback next year, then they will make the playoffs. And I think that this battle then in the offseason, if Monken can do some things, like can coach up, both of these guys with Deshaun Watson and get Deshaun Watson back to where he used to be, then Shedeur Sanders is just going to be on the bench, right? And I don't think that he can beat out Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson is the better athlete. He can run. Of course, you don't know how he's going to be after the injury. I think he's more accurate with the ball. He's got a stronger arm. I think he's got a lot to prove because a lot of people don't like him because he's made $250 million guaranteed with the Cleveland Browns. But I think that this offseason is going to tell a lot because you can't have a guy making $60 million a year healthy and he's a healthy scratch. And I think if you got him on the pond, he's a healthy scratch. I think you need to, if you have a Ferrari, you want to drive the Ferrari, and he's $60 million. So, do you believe that Shedeur Sanders will beat out Watson? And do you believe that Shedeur Sanders, if he does start next year under Monken, that he can take them to the playoffs over Watson versus Watson?
I think they could potentially make it with either one, but more with Watson, like you said. I agree with that to a certain extent because I feel like, but I feel like they both can because it just depend on if they got the same, direction and like learning and like, but I just know I've seen Watson in Houston. I saw him with the Cleveland Browns. I've seen him have two, Achilles tears. So in my mind, as a Browns fan, it's kind of hard for me to go that route. But I know that if we get the same quarterback Deshaun Watson from Houston Texans, if we get that Deshaun Watson coming back from injury like that, I feel like we could do something. But
that's Todd Monken's offense, running. Remind you, I think that we know that your last head coach, I don't think saw eye to eye with the kind of offense that Watson wanted to run, right? But now you've got a guy that that Watson is going to be like, yeah, this is my guy. He gonna run. He had Lamar Jackson back there, and help Lamar Jackson. This is the type of offense that I want to run, and I think mentally he can thrive in this type of offense. And remember, that I go back to that comeback game that Watson had a few years ago against the Ravens. Right, when he came back in the fourth quarter and he put the cape on, and that was the first glimpse that everybody saw that the Watson was kind of like that guy again that he was from the Texans. And I go back to that game because that's the last game that sticks out of my mind of what Watson did. But it's been a couple of years since he's been that guy. So I think when you see him in camp and if he can stay healthy, I'm not quite sure. My fear is that Shedeur Sanders is going to possibly get some playing time, but only if Watson is injured. And I don't think he's going to start. Man, I don't think he's going to beat out Watson unless there's just, he just out there for trade bait.
Well, I feel like Monken, like we talked about earlier, I feel like Monken he wants to see what Watson has because that's $60 million sitting there. Like you're going to earn this money. Like we're not going to have you just sitting around, but if he gets beat out, then it's like you just sitting there with $60 million. I mean, what do you do with that? Like,
it'd be. I can't see
if you get beat out by
because he just lazy.
Yeah, but if he get, I don't think he would be lazy because Deshaun Watson still has it a little bit. He's just not the same guy, especially after those Achilles injuries.
I mean, can he be Sam Darnold? That's the thing. Can Watson come back and everybody, look them over? Can he be a Sam Darnold type of comeback story and then prove everybody wrong? I think he has the talent. He showed that he is a guy that can win in the playoffs, right? He shows that, when he's on his game and his mental is right, that he can get it done. So I'm picking. I kind of want the comeback guy. I want to see Watson, the comeback guy, versus Shedeur. I think Shedeur, he could, if he sat the bench another few games, half the season next year, and maybe Watson gets hurt or whoever and comes in, I think he can still benefit from it. But that playing time, when the guy gets a taste of playing time, though, that's the best experience that you can have. He had 7 games of playing time. He went 4-3 in those games. He didn't look too good in a lot of them. But everybody's going to say, well, that was just, he didn't have to coach, right? He didn't have this, he didn't have that. But a lot of it was on him, too.
Well, yeah, but it's like the offensive play that he had was the issue. So now we have Monken's offense is going to be a little more open and free. And I feel like it was because he was still kind of running over time they open up the playbook a little more because you can see that he was like using his arm, and I mean it's stuff that Dylan Gabriel could have did too, but he just wasn't throwing the ball accurately down the field. And we immediately saw, like at the beginning when I was talking about beginning of the season and on the podcast, I was saying like, you know, I'm seeing the first time Dylan Gabriel took over, I was like, this dude can't throw the ball downfield. He's not like game to game. He wasn't throwing the ball downfield accurately, and he was like so in his head he wouldn't throw the ball. And I was instantly saying, I know Shador would throw the ball D because that's what he does. All he needs is the opportunity. And then once he came in, he was doing his thing, you know, over time, you know.
Yeah,
once
throwing the ball down the field, making plays.
When you don't get enough time, when you don't get enough reps at quarterback and try to come in and close to the end of the season when he came in, it was the last 7 games. It's not that easy, especially when you got a losing record, when you got guys packing it in and stuff like that. You don't get the full coverage that Dylan Gabriel had. You have to come back and try to, like, you know, get these guys riled up and give you know, and it's hard to do that, especially with veterans that are like been in the game for a long time, you know. So
yeah, I mean, you know, we're gonna move on from that. We'll see how that transpires. It's like the season outside of the season now. And all these teams, you know, the Steelers also make a kind of a interesting hire. You know, Mike McCarthy. The Steelers hired Mike McCarthy, who's been around. You know, he's definitely a Hall of Fame coach with the Green Bay Packers. And then, of course, you know, what he did with the Cowboys, he had, you know, 5 seasons with the Dallas Cowboys. He gets fired, you know, and, you know, the Steelers now pick up a veteran guy. 63 years old. He's been pretty solid. Now he takes over for Mike Tomlin, and I'm not quite sure that, you know, Aaron Rodgers is going to come back to reunite with his old coach from his days in Green Bay. I don't want to see Aaron Rodgers come back. I think I really want to see him retire. But you know, how do you like this hire, and do you believe the over-under of 10? I'm going to go with the under of 10 with him as the coach next year, because I think that the quarterback is still a big problem. And I think that the Steelers also have an aging defense that did not really perform. They're costing a lot of money. They have a lot of age on them, and they just didn't play like the Steelers defense that everybody expected them to be this year. So what do you think about this here? He's in your division. You guys have a new coach. Now the Steelers get a new coach. Matter of fact, the whole division has a new coach, Mike Minter. He's now in with the Ravens. And so I think your division is wide open now. But I think Joe Burrow is going to go in there and just steal the cheese.
Joe Burrow, I don't know about that, but because their defense sucks. So we're gonna keep that there, because I don't even.
Well, they got an offseason now too. They got an offseason to fix it.
I mean,
just like everybody else.
They got an offseason, but they've been historically bad at the defensive side anyway. But so I feel like only way that they would win over 10 games if they have the right quarterback, like we talked about. But what I've been hearing from the like in the news and stuff like that is they're talking about the coaching staff liking Will Howard from out of Ohio State. So and I think he was sitting there in the wings, learning from Rodgers, doing his thing, you know, learning the NFL, just like we talked about earlier. You know, getting drafted, and then you sit and watch the league for a year. And I feel like Will Howard has an opportunity to come in and be that guy. Only because it depends on how McCarthy and Rodgers are right now at this point in their careers. Like, does McCarthy want to try to run it back with Rodgers? But Rodgers has to want to do it because he's been talking about retiring for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's wanting to do it again with the same roster. I feel like they need more on the offensive side, like at the receiver spot, some more like a bigger running back, I guess, or whatever. I think they need a little more.
Do you think Howard is ready for his opportunity? I mean, do you think he's going to do well as in an NFL type of offense?
I feel like he can, because playing at Ohio State, you're playing pretty much a pro offense.
He's a big guy too.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He runs the ball. He's strong. He's like 6'5", like 40 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a champion. He won a national championship. He was able to sit behind a NFL champion in Rodgers.
Yeah.
And sitting back and learning from him, just like he did from Rodgers and like Love
Yep.
did from, so it's the same kind of, way to think about it. I feel like Howard is ready. But I feel like you just got to throw him in because you drafted him to be your guy.
Yep.
You brought Rodgers in to be a buffer. And then if Rodgers decides to stay, then that's a different story. But I feel like Will Howard be the next man up.
Yeah. You think they're going to win 10 games or less? Over under?
If they have Rodgers, I feel like they'll go over. If they Will Howard, they might get like 8, 9. But they got a chance with that defense. They got a shot to win more. And that's just I'm being neutral. I'm a Browns fan. I don't like the Raiders. I mean, I say the Raiders. I don't like the Steelers. But I'm gonna be neutral. I feel like they have a chance to win at least 10 games next season with that defense.
Okay, cool. All right, so when we come back, we're going to start talking about Super Bowl 60, the Seattle Seahawks at the New England Patriots. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Hey, welcome back, and you're watching the Chasing the Highlights podcast. My name is Lonnie Washington. I'm in Arizona, and my co-host is Tony Robinson. He is in Texas. And Tony, now we're going to transfer to the Super Bowl 60, and we've got a matchup: Seattle against the New England Patriots in San Francisco Bay Area. Sam Darnold against Drake May. And, these are two most unlikely teams that I think that everybody was thinking at the beginning of the season if you said these two teams are going to be in the Super Bowl. But they both come in different ways. They both earned their opportunity to be here. And so, when you start thinking about these two teams, I think it's going to be a really good matchup. Both of these teams are they've earned it. They beat the best of the best in each of their divisions, and some of them might have, got, I think the Patriots, people are saying they played an easy schedule and, this and that, but, they're here now. And I think that this game is going to be a really good game. And, you got a lot of storylines here. You got Sam Darnold's redemption, the Patriots' rapid rebuild. You have the rematch, the Seattle Seahawks rematch in 2015. And then you got, Mike Vrabel, he's a Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots. So there's a lot of different storylines. And then Drake May, some say that he has an injury. Initially, as you start to look at this game, what's the first thought that comes to your mind when you see this matchup?
Low scoring.
Low scoring.
Definitely going to be low scoring.
Boring. That's boring. That's defense.
You got one side that takes something away in the New England Patriots. They take something away, and I feel like they're going to try to take away JSN, but I feel like Cooper Kupp may open up a little more. And on the other side, I feel like it's going to be, it could be like 20 in the 20s each team probably, but I just feel like it's not going to be a shootout. But I feel like if the running game for the Patriots get going, because that's the only way they have to run the ball against this defense because they rush a lot. The Seattle defense, they rush a lot. So you got to throw screens and you got to run right at the top pass rushers to throw them off. And then the play action to open up and stuff like that. But it's going to be up to the QB play to manage the game and not turn the ball over. That's the big thing. I kind of went a little extra on that's the first thing I see is it's going to be low scoring.
Yeah, you're thinking that it's going to be a low scoring game, and I'm not, man. I think it's going to be a little bit. Every time people say it's going to be a low scoring game, I think it's going to probably be one of those 24-20 type of games. I think if you have a good weather over there in San Francisco, if it's not raining crazy, it's not doing all that. I think they're going to put some points up. I think they'll find a way to put some points on the board. Both teams. I think people, Drake May's legs, they got to account for him because he's dangerous, but also he's been sacked 15 times, doing this run. And that's a problem for me. And you have the Seattle Seahawks, who has the number one defense in the NFL. And so they played the top 5 or 6 defenses all through the playoff, the New England Patriots have, and they've come through it. But I think Seattle is probably the most legit out of all of these defenses that are out there. When you start looking at just overall defense, combined defense. And so I think it's going to be one of those tough games, but I think the Patriots are going to find a way to put points on the board, and I think Seattle's going to put points on the board too. But both of these defense are like really, really good, and so I really like that part. So we start talking a little bit about some of the storylines, and I said about Sam Darnold's redemption. After years as a journeyman, Sam Darnold has a chance to secure his legacy in a defining win, potentially marking his last dance with offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak, who has I believe a job lined up with the Raiders after this Super Bowl. And but I think that the things that Sam Darnold has done over the last couple of years within 2 different teams, with the 14 wins last year and then this year, I think he's proved himself enough that he is a serious quarterback. He's totally legit. I think he starts to with this win, he gets that label. I mean, one of the reasons why the general manager in Minnesota got fired is that he let Sam Darnold out the door, and he went with a young quarterback versus Sam Darnold, and then looking at Sam Darnold's body of work and what he's done this year with a different team, a different offense. I think it's really spectacular what we've seen from Sam Darnold. Do you think he's ready enough for the challenge in the Super Bowl?
I mean, I hope so. I mean, because it would be good to see like a redemption story like that. Starting with the Jets, getting drafted to a really bad team, organization, and stuff like that, and then coming out of that and still,
going to Carolina.
Yeah, going to Carolina, but he started getting a little better in Carolina. Just getting his foot.
He was with Baker Mayfield at one point in Carolina, which is crazy, right? He was with Baker Mayfield, right?
Yeah, it just shows that going from it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Yeah.
And that's why I said we talked about it before. Like a lot of quarterbacks, they need. It's bad when you play good in college, and then you go to a team that needs a quarterback in the first round. Usually that team is usually terrible. And it's usually my team, the Jets, and things like that. So, and you're kind of a product of your environment. They think because you playing on a bad team, you're a bad quarterback, but it's not. They don't look at the total team dynamic and where you're going to. And then he goes to Carolina, he starts playing a little better. Then he goes to Minnesota, where it's kind of like it peaked.
Yeah.
It spiked really, really, really hard, really high. And then he gets the opportunity to go to Seattle with the new coach and everything. And he took it over and just ran with it. They got the pieces there, and they got their what is it called? The black. Well, I was gonna say they got their defensive name back. They have a new defensive name. You said.
Oh yeah. I forgot what it was.
They have everything together, and I feel like he's there. And he's spearheading it because of his experience. Now he's been through so many different trials and tribulations, in his season, in his career. And I feel like I'm rooting for him. I feel like Seattle. I'm picking Seattle in this game because I'm tired of seeing the Patriots win Super Bowls. So I want Seattle to win. I want them to get that payback from that Pete Carroll debacle that he decided to throw the ball on the goal line when he just should have handed it off to Marshawn Lynch. So
right down the street from me, I'm 15 minutes from the stadium where it happened at, where the Seattle Seahawks lost the game and the Patriots get the win. The other storyline in this game, is going to be, Smith and Jigma against Christian Gonzalez, and it's I really like this matchup. I really like the fact, that we're going to be highlighting these two the whole game. But I think Jackson Smith and Jigma, he's the best wide receiver in the league. I think he had over 1,700 yards receiving this year. You just can't stop him. I mean, the way he runs routes, how smooth he is out of his breaks, he's always seems to be open by a mile. He's just so good. That they traded away DK Metcalf last year, and then the Smith and Jigma just totally took over and took the league by storm this year. And I just think that Sam Darnold finds a way to get him the ball, and he just kills you. And I think that Shaheed also, on the Seattle's offense, I think he might be a factor in this game too with his speed. They don't throw him the ball a lot. He's more of a big time special teams player. I think that using if Shaheed kills you a little bit in the passing game, and then it's just gonna get Smith and Jigma open. And Sam Darnold is an on-time thrower. He's not going to scramble. You know that Sam Darnold is going to be in the pocket, but he's very accurate with the ball. He has been prone to some turnovers too, which New England Patriots are some ball hawks. But I think this matchup is going to be really, really good.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier. I feel like they're going to try to take JSN away. They probably going to try to bracket him or try to just do. Christian Gonzalez is going to have to shadow him the whole game in order to try to take him away. They may try to do some bracketing where they just take him away totally. But I feel like if he does that, Cooper Kupp and Shaheed is going to get off, and then the running game can get off because you got two guys on. And I feel like
you got Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker. You can't, and Kenneth Walker can catch the ball out of the backfield. You can't really with this kind of offense with all the weapons they have. You can't double anybody. You can't. And this is what the Patriots do. They'll try to take something away. They may try to take away the running game. And if you do that, then the receiver's going to be open. You got a veteran in Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is not too far off from where he won a Super Bowl and was balling out. He just had an injury and got shipped off. I feel like he may be the MVP of the Super Bowl because of he just beat his team, in the Rams, and now he might be the dark horse that nobody's really talking about. And I feel like this matchup right here is going to be really good. I want to see them both go at each other, but I feel like at the end of the day, Jackson Smith, Jimba, he's probably going to get off on Gonzalez. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he's going to get the better of him because everybody knows that they have to stop him all season and haven't been able to. Nobody hasn't been able to stop him. I mean, just amazing is what he's done. And so, when we start looking at some of the things that the Patriots have done, just their rebuild and everything there that the Patriots have had, under Drake May, the Patriots have returned to the championship stage much faster than expected following the post-Tom Brady era, sparking comparison to the days of the dynasty. You have, Mike Vrabel there. The Patriots won 4 games last year. And, Mike Vrabel comes in as a Super Bowl player. And I'm sure that, the Titans are kicking themselves in the tail right now of letting this guy go. He goes back to his old stopping ground as a player, and he gets them back into first-year coach, and he gets back in a title run in the Super Bowl. And to be honest with you, I think you don't even have to look any further. I think that Mike Vrabel should be the coach of the year. I think he should win this coach of the year thing. For just what he's done with the Patriots and getting everybody together and restoring that defense, restoring that Patriot pride, and doing all those things that the New England fans have been craving for over the last 5 years. And he's brought the New England Patriots fans back to life. And whether they win it this year or next year or whenever, the Patriots fans have been rejuvenated because of this. And so I think that this rebuild has been very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see it as a true rebuild. I feel like
it was a rebuild.
They had the players in place. I just feel like they just drafted well, and they put the pieces they drafted was really good. And because they didn't really get it wasn't like a big overhaul. Like I think it was just the coaching change was the big key. Even though they didn't give Mayo enough time to get his footing, but. I feel like Mayo probably has some draft picks in there too that he brought in, but but I do believe Vrabel is the guy that changed the whole thing. He should be up for MVP, the coach of the year, or whatever. But I also think he's coaching Seattle too, because he's a second year coach.
Oh man.
Doing what he's doing. He's never
Well,
coached at this
I
level
think he had like
before
7 or 8 wins last year, right? I mean, so I think he had. This is the second year.
in his first career, after trading away his best player, he actually played with him. I think he was on that team, but then he traded him the following season. But he came in and wanted to get his guys in, and he got rid of the top player on the offense, traded him off to Pittsburgh, and then so for him to see that and do that, I don't know if it was all him. I don't know if it's the GM and him talking amongst each other, but I feel like he had a hand in that.
Yeah,
and just getting rid of your best. Like DK Metcalf was the man in Seattle, and then you get rid just kick rocks like that, and then you just go on this run to make it to the Super Bowl. That's pretty impressive to me. And I'm not taking anything away from Vrabel. Vrabel, both coaches should be up for it. Nobody else should be up for it at this point. To me, I feel like it's these coaches here that's in the Super Bowl.
All right. Well, we got a couple of guys here, for NFL honors, Offensive Player of the Year. Drake May, Christian McCaffrey, Puka Nacua, Bijan Robinson, and Jackson Smith-Njigba. Now, rumor has it, and we don't know this yet, probably until tomorrow when they actually announce it, but rumor has it that Matthew Stafford might win the MVP. And if he wins the MVP, do you think that Drake May or any of these guys deserve Offensive Player of the Year? I believe that if they give it to Matthew Stafford, I think that Jackson Smith-Njigba should win it. But of course, the quarterbacks are the darlings of the NFL. But I think if Drake May doesn't win this award, then it'll go to Drake May. And because Matthew Stafford isn't on this list, gives me the thinking that he's going to win MVP. What do you think?
I don't think Drake May should be the Offensive Player of the Year. I feel like Offensive Player of the Year. I know they usually give these awards. It's all these awards are very skewed, because if you only can give it to a quarterback, then you should just do away, because there's other players, other positions on the football field on the offensive side. I mean, we're not counting the offensive linemen, obviously, but but when you talk about the key roles, I understand that the quarterback is the leader of the team, leader of the offense, and stuff like that. But when you just think about all the players that he has around him, and I guess Drake May is he's up there because he's in a Super Bowl. But when you look at it, it's when you watch the games, it's not. I don't see it. I feel like Puka Nacua, Jackson Smith-Njigba, those kind of guys should get more consideration than Drake May. Just my humble opinion. It was Christian McCaffrey for a little bit, but then he started tapering off, and he got hurt a couple times, and it kind of took him out of the running. But Puka Nacua, he was there. He was the offense to me. He had if you're gonna give the MVP to the quarterback for LA, then you got to have Puka Nacua as the offensive player to me, because if he's not up for this award, Stafford's not up for this award. Puka Nacua is he's the main reason why Stafford gets the award, the MVP. Yeah, because he was the offense. He did everything. He ran the ball on some plays. He received a lot of passes from. He made Stafford good this year to me.
Yeah, I just think that. I just think that Smith-Njigba is the guy. I know what Puka. Come on, Puka Nacua. He's just incredible, and he's been incredible for a few years now. But I think just to see what Smith-Njigba has done this year, and then what he has totally done in his whole body of work this year, I just think that he deserves it. If you're looking at the Offensive Player of the Year, we'll see how it pans out, because we'll see.
And this is me as a Buckeye fan saying this. I'm a JSN fan. I'm a Buckeye.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be more neutral, and I feel like the total body of work. I understand what you're saying. I get it, and but they're right there, 1A, 1B to me for the Offensive Player of the Year. It's not Drake May. Drake May, I don't know. I think the defense did a lot to help the team win too. And you can say the same about Jackson Smith-Njigba too. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to make that decision. right
Yeah,
now. So
and MVP, right? This is it's funny that they put Matthew Stafford's name all the way at the bottom. I mean, you've got Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, and these are the finalists too, by the way. Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence. I don't even know why Trevor Lawrence is even there. Drake May, Christian McCaffrey, and Matthew Stafford. And I don't even know why Christian McCaffrey's there. I know why people would want him there, because what he means to his team. But you need to throw out the Josh Allen, right? The Trevor Lawrence, and then the Christian McCaffrey. I think this is a race between Drake May and Matthew Stafford. No doubt.
JSN should be in Christian McCaffrey's spot. And yeah.
You think so?
I feel like JSN should be in a Christian
MVP?
McCaffrey spot. Yeah.
Up the NFL.
For what he's done for the Seattle's offense. Like it's not just the quarterback play. It's not like it's JSN like balling out too. And the defense got them a lot of their points too, but I don't know, because it's not they're not gonna give it to a defensive player, so
No.
it has to be from the offensive side. So even though I feel like Seattle's defense as a whole is the MVP of the Seattle Seahawks, but from the offensive side, JSN, like, I mean, he's that guy. If you're gonna
So who do you think wins the MVP?
I got I believe Stafford is the guy out of that list. Stafford is the guy.
But that's the finalists.
Yeah,
So
but
they both.
it's so skewed because it's just always quarterbacks and maybe a couple running backs, and it's like ridiculous to me.
Yeah, and I think that I think that definitely Matthew Stafford deserves it. I mean, would he have 5,000 yards passing? I mean, 50 touchdowns. Did he have 50 touchdowns too? I mean,
threw the ball to Puka though a lot.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. I mean, I must admit he did do that. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So now, I'm not sure what the line is on this game. I thought the last time I saw it was like 4. I thought it was 4. Not sure if it has shrunk on this game yet. But our last picks of the season here, and I think that
it's 3.5 right now.
It's 3.5. Yeah, I can see it being 3.5. I'm just going to go ahead and say I like the Seattle Seahawks, and I think you had said something too about the Seahawks, but I like the Seattle Seahawks, and I just think that they're the tougher schedule this year, the way their defense has played. Their special teams is like top notch, and Shaheed, if he makes a big play, I think he was the best signing at the trade deadline this season, and probably the last few seasons in the NFL. I mean, he's got a kickoff return, punt return, a couple punt returns, kickoff return back, and then I think he had like a 50-yard catch a couple of weeks ago against the Rams that got them going too, and so. I think that, with all said and done, looking at the whole body of work, I mean, that's Seattle defense. I mean, and just the left tackle stuff that the Patriots got going on, they haven't been able to solve that problem, really. Drake May's been sacked 15 times, in 3 games. He's averaging 5 sacks a game. And the Seattle Seahawks, they can get to the quarterback without blitzing. So they just, with their 4 guys, with Dexter Lawrence, and those guys, they can get after him without blitzing. And now that gives you got 7 back there playing defense on the back end. And I think that's where you're going to force Drake May to be super accurate. I think they're going to play a lot of man-to-man, because when when young quarterbacks have to go against man-to-man coverage, they have to be super accurate. And I think they're going to it's going to throw the timing off. He's going to have to get that ball out, and that's going to get that pass rush time enough to get him now. I'm not even going to say anything, but the offensive line of the Seattle Seahawks are going to have their hands full too. But, Sam Darnold has had a knack of reading these defensive diagnosis and getting the ball out of his hands, and he can torch you too. So I just think that basically the Seattle Seahawks is just a little bit better on defense, and I think they're going to make more plays down the stretch, and then, of course, on special teams, even though the Patriots are good special teams too. I like the Seattle Seahawks in this game. Going away, I think it's going to be a touchdown game. I think it's going to be a 7 or 8 point game.
The only thing I'm going to say about this game, I'm picking Seattle Seahawks, but the only thing that is going to solidify that pick is if Sam Darnold does not turn the ball over. He cannot turn the ball. He can't give the Patriots more opportunities to score. If he takes care of the ball, if he manages the game properly, they'll win hands down.
I think that goes both ways, though. I think that kind of goes both ways. Whoever wins the turnover battle in this game will probably end up winning because those extra possessions are going to count big. But I think that Seattle's defense can cover up some of those. I mean, you got to remember that he turned the ball over 5 times against the Rams in the second to last game that they played at the end of the season, and they only lost by a couple points because the defense of Seattle covered up them 5 turnovers for Sam Darnold. They had us back. So just knowing that he can make a few mistakes here and there, and that defense is going to be able to stop the Rams, a team like the Rams offense that I think is better than the Patriots offense. So yeah, I think that holds true. But I think Drake May can't turn the ball over either, because if he does, and look early on in this game to see how Drake May's shoulder is, because I think that's a storyline too that everybody's been talking about. He hurt his shoulder in the AFC Championship game and blah blah blah. I think that's just kind of like whatever.
Yeah, his looking at the injury report right now on ESPN, it shows that he has that questionable off of his thing now. Only person that has a questionable is Darno with the oblique injury right now. So
yeah,
I feel like I think May he's fine right now. If he doesn't have that on there, he's fine. So no excuses.
Well, he's getting a shot. I mean, if it's hurting him before the game, he's getting the shot. Yeah. I mean, it's just he's getting the shot. Whenever he needed to get that shot to make him feel better.
Everybody is, yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna get that shot before the game and at halftime, and however many times he need to get that shot to make him get through this game, it's gonna be it. But it's been a great season, buddy, with you on chasing the highlights for the NFL. We started out this quest, to do something finally. Like over the years, we've been talking sports all this time, and finally this year we decided to actually, put something out there, have a little fun with it, and yeah, it's been a great time with you this season, having you here, and man, we'll see what happens next. We don't know what's going to happen next season, but I'm looking to try to retain you next season.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
I know you're a free agent, but we try to see what's going to happen. But hey, guys, thanks for tuning in all year. I'm going to be doing some Lonnie and Friends on my other podcast. We'll be doing some of that, so you might see us around and things of that nature. We might be talking some NBA as the NBA season starts to heat up a little bit down the stretch. You'll see us probably talking some NBA and maybe some other little things that we have playing down the road. So, hey, this has been the Chasing the Highlights podcast. Lonnie Washington in Arizona and Tony Robinson in Texas. Good night, everybody. Enjoy the Super Bowl.
Come alive, 2 ex-players in the studio, ready to thrive. Friends and fans, united with the truth, sharing the passion, yeah, that's our proof. Chasing the highlights, where dreams come alive. 2 ex-players in the studio, ready to thrive. Friends and fans, united with the truth, sharing the passion, yeah, that's our proof. We treasure the legends, those who paved our way in every single chapter.